Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the talk show Cerita. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in to this talk show, my name is Natalia Chok. I'm a 14-year-old writer, and one fun fact about me is obviously I love stories and I'm a huge bookworm. And that is actually the main reason why I started this talk show because like I said, I love books, but I've never actually gotten a lot of chances to talk with people who have written the books that I love. For example, let's say J.K. Rowling. I don't think I will ever get to meet her, but yeah, she's just one of the amazing authors that I hope to meet in the future. So that is actually the whole reason why I started this talk show because then I get to meet more people who love books, more people who are writers like me, and this is basically a place where I interview and talk to them storytellers, poets, writers, authors, and I talk to them about their journey, which I admit can be very, very challenging because speaking from a writer's point of view, the journey of a writer definitely is a very challenging one. It's not always easy. Everyone has their highs and lows. And today we are going to talk to a very, very amazing person about her highs and her lows in her journey in the world of words. So I have a very, very amazing speaker up today. Her name is Risha Chaurasia, and she is actually the author of a Kindle best-selling book, which is really, really amazing. She is author of two books, I think, and I'm just mind blown right now because I've only written one, and it was hard enough. And the fact that she's written two books is just what like how did that happen? So yeah, I'm really, really excited to be speaking to her. So without further ado, let's just invite her on screen. Hi, Risha.
Hi, it's so nice to be here, and thank you so much for having me on this show.
Yeah. If I'm correct, you're in India right now, right? So
I
what is
am.
the timing like there?
It's right now 6:30 in the evening, and what's the time for you there?
For me, it's around 9 p.m. here in Malaysia. It's so exciting to be talking with someone from another country right now because my previous two episodes of Cerita has all been in Malaysia. So it's really, really exciting, to have this new experience with someone else from another country. So yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of my talk show. Um, Before I get started into the nitty-gritty and the serious stuff of this interview, I always like to open with this very fun question to everyone who comes in here. This fun question of what's your favorite book and why?
All right. So to be honest, my favorite book keeps changing from time to time. So as I go on reading, that favorite book does keep on changing. And I like to tell people that my all-time favorite book is my own. And as narcissistic as I sound, it's actually true. And apart from something that I have not written, I love Sudha Murthy novels. So she's an Indian author as well. So yeah, any of her novels are my all-time favorite. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with the fact how you said that your favorite book it changes from time to time because that's so true for me. Like when I was young, my favorite book was like Roald Dahl, Enid Blyton kind of books. And then now as I grow older, then your reading style kind of evolves with the times. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But yeah, I definitely have to look up your author as well, your favorite author. Probably have to add it to my reading list. But yeah, thank you so much for answering that little icebreaker question that we had. So finally, it's time to get into the main stuff. So I know, like I mentioned earlier, you've written like two books, and one of it was like a Kindle best-selling book. So, could you please describe your books? I think the first one is called Tales of Twinkling Teens, and the second
Mm.
one is called Truth. So,
Yes.
could you describe both of your books, in your own words, like what it's about? Yeah, just basic stuff like that.
All right. So my first book is Tales of Twinkling Tweens, and I wrote that when I was 11. And that is basically like a tween's handbook through life. So a tween is basically somebody from the ages of 9 to 12, and it's just about their life, about like school, friendships, family, all of that. And as a tween myself, I faced a lot of issues, and I just thought that if I shared my experiences and my advice with other tweens, it would probably help them out. So it's got like poems, articles, quizzes, all of that sort of thing. So that's quite a very fun piece of her. As far as truce is concerned, so truce actually means to be at peace with yourself or peace. So truce is actually the story of five friends, and each one of them has an issue in life. So it has five main characters, and the first title or the first letter of each of their names forms truce. So for example, I have a character called Ron, who's a very, very rich footballer. However, he lacks real relationships in his life. Then there's another footballer called Udit, and he used to be like a great footballer, but then he faced some health issues, so then he had to stop playing the sport he loved so much. So it's about these issues that as teenagers all of us go through, and it's their story of achieving peace with themselves. So it's their story of achieving truths with themselves and their issues. And yeah, it's just about love, friendship, self discovery, all of that things. And yeah.
That is really really clever. I've never actually like read a book specifically about tweens, which is very very interesting because a lot of it is okay. It's either young children or it's either teenagers. So it's very very interesting and unique that you found a way to join the two of them together in this book, which I say it sounds amazing. And choose your second book. It's so clever, like the title. I never would have thought of like taking the first letters of the main character's name and making it into a title that makes sense. Like when you said the line like of what your characters having truths with themselves, man, the mic just dropped at that point. That was such a good line. Seriously, it really really sounds like an amazing book. I definitely, yeah. Please, to anyone who is watching this, please do check out Risha's books. I wait. Where can they find it again? These books.
All right. So they're on Amazon, Flipkart, and all other e-commerce websites. We have the online version, like the ebook version, as well as the paperback version. So both of those versions are available on all major e-commerce websites.
Yeah. Well, you heard it. Anyone who's watching, please do check out Risha's books online, and you can get the paperback version also if you like to. It definitely, from what I've been hearing so far, it definitely sounds amazing. But yeah, so thank you so much for like, describing your books to everyone who is watching here, and because, like I said earlier, the writing process is definitely not easy. Like I said it just now, like the writer's journey is definitely a challenging one. But it, despite all the challenging stuff, there has to be like a few good parts, right? So I'm just like really curious, like what is your favorite memory throughout your writing journey? And you cannot say releasing the books because obviously that will be such a good memory. So yeah, that is off limits. So yeah, what is your favorite memory throughout your writing journey?
So I've been writing since I was 8. So I've been practically writing for like half of my life. And there's been quite a lot of happy memories. The primary one being is, again, writing to me is just about, it's about creating vision into reality. And the best part about writing for me personally is the ability to create a world of your own. So you have characters that are your own, you have stories that are your own. And I believe as humans, our biggest power lies in the stories that we have and in the stories we share. So as a writer, I have the ability to share stories with the world. And the best part about writing as well is that it's there even after I'm gone. So even after I die, even after 100 years, my writing is still going to be there. And there will be some stuff that my ancestors or like other people will remember me by. So just the ability of writing to transcend you and transcend lifetimes is something that's really, really fascinating for me. And as for the happiest memory, I remember about 4 to 5 years ago, I was invited to the Indore Literature Festival. So it's like Central India's largest literature festival. And I spoke on that stage about myself and my story. And that so far has been like the happiest memory of my life.
Wow, wow. Definitely, I can see that that will be really a really good memory. Like was it your first time speaking to everyone about your story?
It was my first time on a stage and with so many people watching me. So it was intimidating, to be very honest. And I was shivering on stage, but then, yet then, it was as exciting and as fun, as nervous as I was when it started. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I remember as well when I went for my book launch because we had a book launch for my book and I had to share about my. I was so nervous as well, just like you. But I think the biggest part of both our journeys is that you feel the nervousness, but you also feel the excitingness of it, right? Like my English is not great today, but yeah, it you feel the excitement of it, and it's just a really wonderful feeling, right? Just going out there for the first time and just inspiring so many people out there with your story, and it, I can see how that would be probably one of your happiest memories as well. And yeah, thank you so much for that. 'Cause like I said, the writing journey is full of highs and lows. And now that you've shared some of your highs, shall we go down to the lows? So between your two published books, which one posed more challenges in the terms of the writing process? Because I'm pretty sure that between both of your books, they're different, right? Because Tales of Twinkling Twins, you wrote it when you were younger, but then Truce, maybe you're a bit more experienced by then, you knew a little bit more. So yeah, I'm just curious, like which one maybe had more challenges, or maybe what were the challenges?
Right. So, I mean, both my novels had challenges and they were very different from each other. So, when we speak of Tales, so the problems I faced while with Tales was the fact that it was my first novel, and nobody in my family has like a writing background. So we didn't know how to publish, by whom to publish, or like how the whole process works. So just that in that initial processing was very tough. And yeah, just whenever you do something for the first time, that's kind of like the biggest step you take. But however, with Truce, I had a lot more experience both writing and publishing, so that journey was smoother. However, then Truce was my first fiction novel. So with Tales, it was more of like a corpus or just a bunch of articles and poems that I had written. But with Truce, that was a full-fledged novel with characters, plot twists, chapters, all of that. So just navigating my way through that was challenging at first, since like every, so we had to have a character arc, we had to have plot twists, we had to have suspense, drama, romance, all of that. And I was 13. So as a 13-year-old, writing a 200 page novel was definitely challenging. And then after that as well, once the book was out, just marketing it, getting people to read it, getting reviews, all of that was also very tough. And it's been years since I've been writing, but still that process never that's easy. But then, yet then, the gratification you feel when you see your novel for the first time transcends all of these challenges that you go through. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely the feeling that you described is really just unimaginable unless you've actually gone through it. So yeah, I think it's very fitting that you have different challenges for both books because like I said, Tales of Twinkling Twins, you were a little younger, then Truth, then you're a little older, but then you have more problems, like more problems come up for you, right? Different problems. So yeah, it's very interesting to hear those different problems. But you made it. It's amazing. Like you got through each of the challenges like so well now I see. And it's just really I have to say you're a really inspiring person of how you published two books, you went through different challenges, but you like got through them eventually. And yeah, it is very interesting of the different challenges that you've learned and that you've gone through. And I just have to ask, is there anything that you learned about yourself from your writing journey? So maybe when you went through those challenges, what are some of the lessons that you learned that okay, I can take this next time and maybe apply it into my life in the future?
And definitely a lot of things. First of all, I personally believe that every piece of writing is reflective of the writer. And it's basically every piece of writing has a piece of the writer or a side of the writer in it. So if suppose if I'm writing something on friendship or romance, that's my soft side. If I write something on perhaps the non-fiction end, that's my rational side. So every writing is reflective of the person who writes it. So definitely through my writing, I've learned more about who I am as a person, who I am as a friend, and the way that. So when I was writing Truce, what I did was, how would I react to these situations? If suppose I had a friend who was going through a health issue, what would I do? And every character of mine has a certain part of me inside them. So, and I believe the best writing is one that's raw and relatable and real. So every piece of my writing is somewhere inspired from something that I've personally gone through in my life. So it did help me grow as a person. And secondly, when I initially started writing, I didn't believe in myself, to be very honest. As an 11-year-old, I thought, who would read my work? And why would people care that this 11-year-old girl from India wrote something? And that was true as well. I did struggle to find readers for my initial pieces of work. But then gradually as time went on, I learned to believe in myself. And that's where when my mom told me that, Risha, you write for the world, you write for yourself, not for the world. So as long as you're happy and as long as you're proud of what you've written, it really does not matter what the world says or what it does. And so I just learned to be more confident. And initially, I was also, to be very honest, embarrassed to market my work, because I thought, what would people think?
Right.
But then gradually that shyness or that hesitation has shied off, and now I love to shamelessly promote my work and myself as well. So yeah, I've grown a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I really love I loved everything that you shared, and the fact that it's all very so relatable for every writer. Like one of the first things that you said that I loved hearing was that um the writer's work is like a reflective of the writer's personality, which I think is so true, because you read so many books every day, every year maybe, and then you just take in the different writing styles from the different books, and somehow it all just combines into your writing, so it's just a big reflection of your personality. And I also really love what you said about the shyness, because I definitely had that as well. I had it so much. I'm a huge overthinker, and I definitely overthought my writing work like every single day until I actually publish it. And even now, actually, I still have that, that like shyness sometimes when I'm asked to explain about my book, or sometimes the awkwardness when someone compliments me and like, nah, it's not that great. So yeah, I still have that, and I think a lot of people will still have that even after they publish something. But it's very, very encouraging to hear that over time that it will slowly go away and you get used to it, and it just, yeah, it's then your work truly just becomes a part of you. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, really. And it's just this is because I think writers, they always go through. I think every writer, they will go through this phase called writer's block. And I'm just curious, have you ever gone through writer's block? I'm pretty sure you have, but like, did you, and how did you handle it in general?
All right. So if you could just excuse me, my laptop's glitching. I just fixed that for a second, if that's all right.
All right, it's okay.
Right, right. Thank you. Gone through my fair share of writer's block, and but I believe the best way, or something that I do personally, is I I take a break. So sometimes you're so saturated, or sometimes your brain is so done, you're so burnt out with writing and just creating, that sometimes you just have to step away. So what I personally do is, if I'm not able to write, I'll just go listen to some music, talk to a friend, just hang out with my family, watch a movie, read. Reading is actually quite a nice way to get rid of writer's block. Since every time you read, I believe reading as a reader and reading as a writer is two completely different things. When you read as a writer, you
Yeah,
constantly your wheels are constantly churning. So just
yeah.
so that happened times when I've taken breaks for like about a month, where I haven't written for a month, but then when I came back in with a fresh perspective, a fresh view of how, just a fresh perspective as a whole, and that's really helped me. And yeah, just like reading, just so what I say to aspiring authors is step away, take your time. Sometimes that break is for an hour, sometimes for 15 minutes, sometimes for a week, but like that break is really important to make sure that you aren't burnt out. So yeah, that's how I deal with writer's block.
Yeah, and like again, between your two books, which one had maybe more writer's block or maybe a longer like term of writer's block? Like which one of it had more?
I think it was Tales, because with Tales, I was writing on a new topic every day. So then I had to like that
Ah,
whole process of just ideating, rashes, editing, all of that process had to be overdone each and every day. And that does get
ah,
exhausting after a period of time. But but with Truce, it was just like, so with Truce, it was more of like the relay race. So if I wrote a chapter today, I'll write chapter two the next day. But with Tales, it was like the whole new race every single day. So that
right.
was definitely more tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. That's so interesting. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, it's yeah, but I also loved how you gave some tips on how to handle writer's block. But for me, music works so well, and just I think yeah, they really the best way to handle writer's block is just to step away for however long you need, and then come back to it. Right, like what you said. Sometimes we just need new inspiration from like everywhere else that is not the story. So like just going outside and looking at the different things and just embracing nature. Sometimes it really helps to give you new ideas for the story. So yeah, I really love that tip that you gave. And yeah, so now we're going to step away a little bit from your writing journey. And I just want to ask who or what inspired you to enter the amazing world of words in the first place? Like what was the catalyst for you?
I believe that catalyst was my grandmother. So as a child, I've been extremely close to my grandmother. And as a child, she used to read these bedtime stories to me on like Indian mythology or just Indian fables and folk tales. And those and that's been going on since I was like 2 or 3. So those that initial, just like, I mean, she loves stories. So that love of stories just like transcended into me. And as a child, I just remember every night just listening to these stories of Indian gods, Indian folk tales. And that's how I fell in love with stories. And when I fell in love with stories, I also fell in love with creating them and experiencing them. So yeah, and I don't know. I as a child, I always dreamt of being a writer. So whenever I used to read something, I used to think to myself as to, if this writer can write, why can't I? And this why can't I? So then my mom gave me the answer to that question, that you can, and there's nobody stopping you from writing. And initially, I didn't even know that you can, like, publish at 11. I thought that was a very grown up thing to do. But my
Yeah,
mom
yeah.
was somebody who told me that, age is just a number. So yeah,
Mm.
so I've had a really strong female presence in my life, in terms of my mom, my grandmother, my sister. So I believe these three women have kind of shaped me into the writer who I am. So yeah.
Mm, yeah, yeah. That is such a heartwarming story to hear. And it's so wonderful that you have really had the kind of environment that encouraged you to keep writing, like your grandmother, your mother, and they really gave you like the push you needed to keep writing. And when you had your doubts, your lows, they really brought you up again and really encouraged you every step of the way. And yeah, that I think that's really powerful. It's really, really important, to have that sort of environment around you, because sometimes when we don't have the environment, it can be a lot harder to keep doing the things we like, right? Because sometimes we have the doubts and we just drown in all those insecurities and we don't have anyone to pull us out. So it's really, really good that you had someone by your side helping you every step of the way. And yeah, please say thank you to your grandmother and mother for me, because without them, we wouldn't be here having this conversation, and you definitely wouldn't have come this far either. So yeah, it's really really amazing, uh that the story of yours. And other than
Thank you.
writing, I think that you have also started your own blog called Straight from Pen. And what
Yes.
has that been like? Like, what has that journey been like for you?
So that's been a quite a crazy journey, honestly. And so I started straight from my pen, I believe in October of 2020.
Mm.
So that was like peak COVID time, and we were all at home, bored.
Yeah, yeah.
Then- So when I started off straight from my pen, it started off as like the social activism blog, where I just used to talk
Mm.
about the unheard news stories. And but then I realized that with the pandemic, we had so much negativity around us already that I didn't want to add to that.
Right,
Just
right.
excuse me for a second. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So that's when
Okay.
I decided to change it into like the positivity blog, where I used to share like everything. Yeah, so that turned into like everything that went right this week. So then it turned into like the positivity blog, and then I believe my blog has kind of grown with me, and then my interest changes to finance. So I come from a family of like finance professionals, and I'm so sorry. Yeah. So as I ventured into the field of finance, so that's where the blog shifted as well. And right now it's more of like a financial blog. And um, am I audible clearly? Because I believe my
Yes,
voice
I
is
can
breaking.
hear you. I can hear you perfectly.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I'm so sorry for like the yeah. So right now, as far as straight from my parents concerned, that's a financial blog. So I just simplify finance routines. So yeah,
Perfect.
so as a young adult myself, whenever I used to like the financial news, I didn't understand half of it. So that's why I thought of like simplifying those complicated financial news into like simple bite-sized news content for my blog. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's a really interesting journey there, because I like how, like, at first you wanted to start your blog as a like a social activist kind of platform, and then it went on to the positivity thing, and then it went on to a financial thing. So it's like the different stages, like that you was like still trying to find like which part your blog belonged into. And I really liked how you said about the social activist thing, that you didn't want to add like more negativity to the world, because that's a really interesting part of it. Like, not a lot of people think about that. So, and that you really made the blog your own. You didn't do something that you didn't like to do in that blog. You made it your own. So yeah, I really like what you said about that. And yeah, I think actually that is when we're very nearly ending the interview session for today. Thank you so much, Risha, for all the help that you've given me, for all the amazing answers. You are such an inspiring person. It's so cool to be talking to another teenager author like myself, like a young author like myself, because a lot of times I don't get to meet people who are young and they've already published two books, in fact, at such a young age. So it's really, really so cool to be hearing that. Before we end this entire interview session for today, could you please, do you have anything to say to the audience? Any encouragement to writers, to maybe people who want to be writers but they're afraid to. Yeah, what do you have to say to them?
All right. First of all, uh, thank you to you for like having me and for listening to me so patiently. And
Please, no worries.
yeah, again, thank you so much for having me and for giving me the opportunity to share my story with you. And I have to say that you are also equally inspiring. Since you just 14 and you already have a novel, you're doing a talk show, and I see you do all these things on LinkedIn as well. So that is so great. And yeah, and I believe that you will go far, honestly. And I like
Thank you, thank
see
you.
I see a smaller version of myself in you with the way you talk, with the way that you went through with this entire interview. So thank you so much for that. And as far as the audience is concerned, there's just one thing I say, or actually two things I say to audiences. One is that believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, the world will not believe in you. So it all of it just starts from your own self. And the second thing is to work hard. I like to describe hard work as a boomerang. So how a boomerang always comes back to you, hard work too always comes back to you. So just work hard, believe in yourself, and yeah, just read and write and do what you love. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Risha, for those kind words. I love you now, honestly. If I didn't before, thank you so much. Pretty sure the audience love you as well. Yeah, I really love how you put the metaphor of hard work as a boomerang. I've never heard someone use that kind of metaphor before. So yeah, it's really you. Like it's such a Risha metaphor right now. So yeah, thank you so much for um your kind words and your encouragement to us, and also for taking your time here to sit down and chat with me about your writing journey. Thank you so much, Risha. And once again, to everyone who is watching, if you stayed the entire 30 minutes of this interview, thank you so much to you as well, because it is really my hope and to inspire more people to pick up a pencil or a pen or a keyboard and start writing. And even if you don't like writing, then be into reading as well. So yeah, thank you so much for joining, everyone. I will see you in the next episode of Cerita, which is a it's gonna be a very special episode if in the next month. So yeah, thank you so much for joining, and yeah, have a good day, guys. Bye.